Okay, well, if you haven't noticed, actually, I've rechristened this channel and I've decided to call it the Year of the Rat. And I'll talk a little bit about why in a second. But also, I want to talk about um, the main topic that I like to discuss, which is lifelong learning. Lifelong learning. I changed the channel to the Year of the Rat because, as you may or may not know, 2020 was the Year of the Rat in the Chinese lunar calendar, which we also follow in Japan, and I think lots of countries around Asia follow it, but we also follow it in Japan. And I was very happy at the beginning of the year that it was the Year of the Rat because I was born in the Year of the Rat. And when you're born in the animal year, it's supposed to be good, auspicious. Good things would happen to you that year. Now, whether if I look at 2020, whether things were good or bad, I mean, I can look at each point and each thing that happened, and it can go either way, really. It depends on how you look at it. But I'm an optimist, and even though there were a lot of calamities, things happened to all of us in 2020. When I look at the whole year, I have to say that in so many ways it was a good year. Although it wasn't, it didn't meet my expectations for, to say financially and things like that. But it met a lot of my expectations. It exceeded a lot of my expectations. In fact, in some ways, it was my year of reckoning, reckoning, which is probably lots of people's year of reckoning. And it was a year that forced me to rise above the situation. And, I'm talking about in personal life, career, your work and things like that, and your mental balance, right? Basically, physical and mental balance. So I decided to call it the Year of the Rat. This channel, the Year of the Rat, because the Chinese lunar calendar works in cycles of 12 years. And I remember 12 years before being 36, because I was 48 in 2020. I remember being a coach for my oldest son's softball team, and being at the high school, the elementary school field, and the ground, and playing with them and talking to the other fathers. And actually, there are a lot of fathers at that time. Actually, in this community where I live, a lot of the people are my age. We're born 1972. We're all the Year of the Rat, and we were talking about that and what we thought would happen and hopes and things like that. And that was 12 years ago. And I remember we were sitting around talking about, I wonder what it'll be like 12 years from now. What we'll be thinking, how will what will our hopes and goals be then? And I think there was a guy, another coach who was like also a Year of the Rat, but like 12 years older than me. So I was thinking, okay, I wonder if I'll be like him in terms of my thought process 12 years down the road. But whether or not things are good or bad in 2020, maybe not really the point. The real point is, what did I do? How did I develop as a person in those 12 years between the animal year coming back again, between the Year of the Rat, those 12 years? Did I accomplish what I want to accomplish? Did I grow in any way? And now I want to keep the Year of the Rat in my mind and see how much I can grow from 2020 to 2032, the next year of the rat. So we're talking about growth, and if you're talking about growth, often part of growth is learning. Now, learning can be informal, it can be formal. There's different types of learning. But one popular term all over the world right now is lifelong learning. And I was thinking about that because I've always, I've done a lot of formal education, informal education, all kinds. I like to learn. I like to study. I like to go to university, school, whatever it is. I like to be a student because I'm also a teacher. So for me, I think that's natural for teachers to always want to be a student. So in Japan, it's a huge thing, lifelong learning, in all levels. In fact, community centers are geared towards that. So you can have inexpensive courses, inexpensive lessons. You can take them at community centers taught by professionals all over the country. So that's one way that lifelong learning works here in Japan. Another way it works is that there's all kinds of things you can do to study, courses you can take. But recently, there's been a push of people, or to encourage people, especially by formal institutions, universities, to encourage people to go back to school or university, as it may be, if they never had a chance to, or there's something they want to continue to study. And you see people who are older going back to university or back to even going to school in Japan a lot more recently. I've known people personally who've gone back to high school and then continued on to university. And they may have particular goals or they may not, but they want to get that done in their lives. So it is a big part of society here with the aging population, things of that nature. And me personally, as an instructor, tutor, as a person who has been involved in education in some form or another my whole life, really, I think that, and of course I support lifelong learning, but I think you can't just support it, you have to practice it. So I've always been practicing, and I take time to learn new things, join activities, or do short courses, whatever it may be. Also join groups where I actually learn something. For example, when I became a volunteer firefighter, I learned stuff when I go there. I'm doing it, but I'm also learning things as I go along, things I didn't know before. So that's also a type of lifelong learning. Now, formerly, I've decided that I want to pursue another master's degree. And this time I'm going to study, I am studying actually distance education and the methodology behind it. And I'm doing this because as an instructor, like many instructors around the world, we've been forced to offer courses or classes through distance learning. Now, I have been a distance learning student before, so I understand it from the point of view of a student, but from the point of view of a teacher or an administrator or managing it, I haven't been introduced to the methodology, the history behind it. I want to think about it, actually, formally. I want to learn how to do it. It's like a friend of mine said many years ago when I used to work in a restaurant. He was an artist, by the way, but he became a bartender. And he said when, he didn't know a lot about it, but he decided, since I'm going to do this as a job, I'm going to learn everything I can, everything there is to know about it so I can do it well. And that's part of the whole point of lifelong learning. Sometimes, especially when you're still in the workforce, when there are new demands made on you, you should be able to meet them. So I've decided to go back to a university that I've already graduated from with a master's before, the University of the Philippines, which is one of the top universities in the country. It's a public university, great education to be had there. And I'll be at the Open University section. So I'm looking forward to continuing this journey. And, you know, education is a way to, of course, broaden your horizons. But one of the things is, especially when you're doing it through distance learning, there are no boundaries into where you can go. You can be a student in a university in a different country, and especially this time during the pandemic where we can't physically travel so easily, there's not access to places. You can go virtually in a sense, and believe you, I mean, I've done this before, that the nature, the character of universities outside the country where you're from can be very, very different. So it's just an exciting thing to do. Anyway, that's an update, and I hope as this channel, my main channel is Kenji Cheetah, where I do music and I try to practice different types of music from all over the world. This is kind of my philosophical channel, I guess you could say, and I hope people subscribe to it. Now I'm at the very, very beginning. I hope it just continues to pick up. All right, thanks, and I'll see you next time.